It is Rey Skywalker's Sunday evening. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi. I think it could be fun to explore the question, how long should one meditate? And the answer is, as long as one can sustainably. Well, what does that mean? Whoops, gotta pause to blow my nose. Woo. I used Korean chili in my rice tonight. Hubba, hubba. Okay, so here's the deal. The third enlightenment factor is bliss. I'm sorry. Is it bliss? No. The third enlightenment factor is energy. The fourth enlightenment factor is joy. If the way we meditate exhausts us and feels more like a punishment or something we have to endure, then it should be shorter. And so a good minimal meditation is just 5 minutes. If the techniques you're using don't give you joy, drain your energy, and exacerbate your anxiety and your aggression, then you are using the wrong techniques. The last thing you want to do is double down on the wrong techniques. You want to work with techniques that give you joy, that give you sustainable energy, and that protect you from the tyranny of anxiety and aggression, and nurture your empathy and your peace. That's what you want. So, and hopefully if you hang out with me, you'll learn those techniques. And by hang out with me, I mean come to these live streams. But, so once you've got that dialed in, that was an appropriate reference to my childhood in the 70s when you had to dial in the radio. Now it's all digital and it's all locked in there. It's quite different, but the same idea. Once you've dialed in these techniques and you're comfortable with them and you're practicing, let's say once every 12 hours or so, then wait for something that I call divine impatience, not neurotic impatience, but divine impatience. Oh, let me adjust something real quick. Let me hit this title teaser and hit this up arrow to make it look prettier. Okay, there we go. So, when you feel a strong desire to practice longer, then slap on 5 minutes. Most of our smartphones come with timers, so that's not an issue. And so a good turn of phrase is to assuming that that it's sustainable for your body and it's sustainable for your joy. There's no reason you can't add 5 minutes a week. And then within 3 to 4 months, you could be styling. And so to progress gently is always, always good. I hope that helps. So what I'd like to do now is turn our attention to the Song of Enlightenment after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. So I'm going to tap this button. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School for more than 30 years. I spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that you would not have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. So I think what we'll do now is I'll tap button 14 and we can explore the 21st through 25th passages of Yong Jue's Song of Enlightenment. And if you speak Mandarin, I apologize for my mispronunciations. I mean no disrespect. Ooh, that is odd. Oh, here's what we have to do. Okay, that looks much better, doesn't it? Please chant with me. How many births, how many deaths, births and deaths go on without end. Ever since realizing that everything is as non-graspable as if nothing was born, I treat safety and peril, pain and pleasure, praise and scorn as well as fame and shame the same. So there's an inference here. Even as children, we notice cycles. The death of the summer is the birth of the winter. The death of the winter is the birth of the summer. Or if I want to be more complex about it, I would say, autumn marks the death of summer, spring marks the birth of summer. Enough already. I sound like Polonius from, what's his face? From Hamlet. Let's move forward. There are many cycles. We see them all around us. We see birth, we see death of ourselves and others. We see safety and turn to peril. We see praise turn to scorn. We see fame turn to shame. We see pain turn to pleasure, and vice versa. And so that's perfectly appropriate to notice whatever comes up, whether it's glorious or grotesque. It's also perfectly appropriate as we relax into our exhalation to experience what we previously perceived as being as non-graspable as if it had never been born. That does not make the affliction go away. It just helps us to cope with it. No, our coping does not come from believing aphorisms or reciting aphorisms, but from cooperating with our autonomic nervous system, which we'll get more into in just a few minutes. So I think this is a good place to stop. And now let's turn our attention to the latest iteration of easy meditation. Well, that chili is really draining my sinuses. Oh my goodness. Oh, won't you please chant with me? Whatever comes, may all beings let it come. Whatever stays, may all beings let it stay. Whatever goes, may all beings let it go. Welcome to this evening's first quarter of mindful crease counting meditation. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we could advance our right thumb in the following manner, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Multiply, let me check the time real quick. Multiply this by 4 sets, and you've got 48 inhalations. We could keep track of those 4 sets on our left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of 12 inhalations each. To keep track of this, our first quarter, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right little finger, upon the tip of our left little finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce in the bladder region of our lower abdomen. When we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, we cooperate with our sympathetic nervous system in such a way as to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. This is known as mindfulness. When we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, we cooperate with our parasympathetic nervous system in a way that supports both the physical relaxation and mental release that help us that cause that which we noticed during our previous inhalation to fleetingly feel less tantalizing, less permanent, and less defining. Together as a team, let us practice mindfulness and meditation right now. Good evening. We're going to turn our attention to the 22nd verse of the Song of Enlightenment. Please chant with me. I moved to a mountain and found a quiet place, steep and secluded beneath tall pines. An outsider monk, I enjoy sitting still, living apart and settled. I am truly at peace, for the goal. For the goal is the path. So, one of the great ironies is that the author of this text, at his time, was considered an outsider. He was considered to be too empathetic for his own good. And one of the great ironies is this. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks. What could that suckiness look like? It looks like people rejoicing in being rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. And not only loving to be that way, but demanding that others be that way. And denigrating those who would dare to be flexible, loving, rational, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. And so this outsider monk, who was not asked to address great assemblies and all that, or lead huge monasteries, made the best of his situation, found a quiet place, built a small shelter where he and his sister just spent the rest of their days eating, sleeping, doing housework, and meditating and studying. So living apart and settled, as opposed to living inside a monastery and at peace. So he enjoyed sitting still, not because he was chasing experiences or chasing prestige, just because he enjoyed the path. And that's the key in all that we do, is to practice intrinsically, not extrinsically. And because we want an external reward, but because we simply love that which we are doing. Welcome to the second quarter of Mindful Crease Counting Meditation. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we could advance our right thumb in the following manner, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Multiply that by 8 sets, and you have 96 inhalations. We could keep track of those 8 sets on our left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. To keep track of this, our second quarter, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger upon the tip of our left ring finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce in the navel region of our mid-abdomen. If this is your first time tuning in, allow me to remind you that when we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, we tend to find ourselves cooperating with the sympathetic nervous system, that helps us to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, fleetingly notice mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. When we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, we can find ourselves cooperating with our parasympathetic nervous system, which has evolved to support both physical relaxation and mental release, causing that which we noticed during our inhalation to feel far less graspable. So together as a team, let us practice right now. Please chant with me. We're going to recite the 23rd and 24th verses together as a set. Anyone ultimately awake knows there is nothing to do. However, in a world of conventionally conditioned things, it is different. Giving alms for a better rebirth, one is still attached to form. You may well shoot an arrow. You may as well shoot an arrow into the sky. Its momentum spent, their arrow returns to earth, resulting in another disappointing life. Unlike the door to the real and unconditioned, once you step through, you are in the Buddha realm, thus experiencing the circumstantial as appearing yet void, the physical as sensual yet void, the interpersonal as resounding yet void, and the mental as lucid yet void. Okay, let's unpack this. The great Indian philosopher, the great South Indian philosopher Nagarjuna taught of two truths: the conventional and the ultimate. Some emphasize the conventional, some emphasize the ultimate. The secret is this: every time we breathe in, we're wired to perceive the conventional. Every time we exhale, we're wired to relax into the ultimate. By cooperating with both phases of our autonomic nervous system, we are enlightened. When we forget to let go, and all we do is notice, and we become overwhelmed with the endless task of shoving at some things and reaching for other things, it is an exhausting, never-ending treadmill. For instance, one might say, I want a better rebirth this time, so I'm going to give alms or do rituals. But that will not solve the underlying problem of our desire for a better form, or our dread of a bad form. And this whole thing of losing ourselves in ritual or in an effort to control our circumstance is like shooting an arrow into the sky. It's gonna come down eventually. No arrow ever just hung in the sky eternally. And so when the arrow comes to Earth, just as the arrow will inevitably return to Earth, whatever good fortune we are able to contrive, the good fortune, the energy that drives the good fortune, will eventually dissipate, and returning us to the same situation we were in before, with great dissatisfaction. And so the author reminds us that the key to a fulfilling life is not necessarily shucking and jiving and working just to make things just so. Au contraire, it is by cooperating with our sympathetic nervous system that's wired to notice vulnerably, and cooperating with our parasympathetic nervous system that's wired to physically relax and mentally release, that we experience life in a very innocent way. And so we have the metaphor of the Buddha realm, which can be explained by being comfortable with the two truths, noticing our circumstances and relaxing into our circumstances to the point where they feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. What's a real-world example of a non-graspable vast empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although it could be tantalizing to the eye, is non-graspable to the hand. So our circumstances are appearing, yet void. Our experience of the physical is sensual, yet void. Our experience of the interpersonal is resounding, yet void. Our experience of the mental is lucid, yet void. Having explored the value of mindfulness and meditation in noticing and releasing, welcome to this evening's third quarter of mindful crease counting meditation. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we could advance our right thumb in the following manner, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We could, let me check the time real quick. Okay, we could multiply this by 8 sets for a total of 96 inhalations. We could count those 8 sets on our left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 sets of 12 inhalations each. To keep track of this, our third quarter, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger, upon the tip of our left middle finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce in the heart region of our chest. When we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, we wind up cooperating with our sympathetic nervous system in such a way as to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. This is called mindfulness. When we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, we could find ourselves cooperating with our parasympathetic nervous system to both physically relax and mentally release in such a manner that what we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less tantalizing, less permanent, and less defining. So together as a team, let us practice right now. And I talked about 8 sets. We're going to drop that down to just 4 sets. We come to this evening's final selection from the Song of Enlightenment. Together, just find the root, do not worry about the twins, the jewel of the moon in pure aquamarine. Once you learn to use this wish-fulfilling jewel of effortless, effort-centered spontaneity generated through the regular practice of mindfulness and meditation, its help to you and others never ends. Let's unpack this. So, we do not wish to squander our lives becoming a master of minutia. Instead, we worry about the key thing. And what is the key thing? The key thing is mindfulness and meditation. The moon is often a symbol, can be a symbol of wisdom, the all-pervasive nature of wisdom. So the inference here is that by getting to the root of the matter, we gain access to the wish-fulfilling jewel of the moon. Now that's deeply metaphoric, and it's a metaphor for the centered spontaneity. Centered spontaneity is far different from scattered spontaneity. We could think of scattered spontaneity as being somewhat like the way we feel after our fourth consecutive espresso. Centered spontaneity is surfing the momentum generated through mindfulness and meditation. This is the key to the fabled expedient means to help us to make the right choice and the right statement and the right action in the right way, in the right time, effortlessly. Oh, excuse me. Whoops, wrong button. Welcome to this evening's fourth and final quarter of mindful crease counting meditation. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we could advance our right thumb in the following manner, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Multiply this by 8 sets, and you've got 96 inhalations. We could count those 8 sets upon our left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. To keep track of this, our final quarter, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger upon the tip of our left index finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could cause our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce at the crown region of our head. When we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, we are wired through our sympathetic nervous system to notice, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly, mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, or imagination. What do we do with these things? Simple. As we relax into our let's try this again. As we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, we are wired to cooperate with our parasympathetic nervous system to physically relax and mentally release in such a way as to cause what we noticed during our previous inhalation as to be released. But that's not all. As we mentally release and physically relax, we begin not only letting go of what we notice, but we let go of our desires and dreads about what we noticed. We can also find ourselves letting go of the subtle resistance we might experience towards the absence of what we crave or towards the presence of what we hate. So together as a team, let us practice mindfulness and meditation right now. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 11 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.